Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be starting chapter 19, which is going to be dealing with decimals still. We're going to go over rounding decimals, estimating decimals, adding and subtracting decimals. So tonight we're going to go over rounding. You should be familiar with the steps of rounding because we did it at the beginning of the year with place value, and you've done it in previous grades as well. So we're just going to go over the steps of those. So there's 3 steps to rounding. First, you're going to identify the digit to be rounded. Okay, digit just means number, right? All right, so we're going to identify the digit to be rounded. So if I had 3.57, okay, let's say I'm going to round the 5. So I'm going to underline the 5. Okay, second step is identify if the number to the right is greater than or equal to 5 or less than 5. So I'm going to go next door. I'm going to take a look at that number. Step number 3, if the number to the right, the next door neighbor, if it is 5 or above, you're going to add 1 to the 10th place. If it is below 5, then you just leave the place alone. Okay, so in this case, the 7 is higher than 5, so I'm going to add 1 to my 5, so it would be 3.6. All right. So here is another example. We've got 17.729 thousandths, okay? And we want to round it to the nearest 10th place, okay? So remember, you got to remember your rooms of your house. Where's my 10th place? Okay, 10th place is right here in this first room. Okay, so I'm going to underline the 7. Okay, I'm going to go next door. I'm going to take a look at what the next door neighbor is. Next door neighbor is a 2, okay? So 2 is less than 5. So I'm not going to do anything to the 7. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the 7 by itself, or the same, and then I'm going to add 2 zeros, or I can take the other numbers away, whichever way you want to do that. All right, so let's look at some examples. I've got 6.52. Okay, so I want to round it to the 10th place. Okay, 10th place is the 5. We'll go next door. I'm going to take a look at that 2. That 2 tells me that I'm going to leave my 5 alone. So it should be 6.50 or 6.5. Okay, let's try another one. All right, we got 6.5 again. 6. Okay, 6.56. Now this time I'm going to round it to my whole number. Okay, my ones. I'm going to round it to my ones place. Okay, so I'm going to underline my 6. I'm going to go next door to my 5. Okay, so I remember if it's 5 or above. Okay, if it's 5 or above, I'm going to add 1. So since that is a 5, I'm going to add 1 to my 6 because that's my underlined digit. So it'll be 7.00 or just 7. Okay. All right. So here's another example. We've got 30.919. We're going to round it to the nearest 10th place. You've got the hand already pointing to the digit that you want to round to. I'm going to underline it because that's what is a good habit to have. Then I'm going to go next door. I'm going to take a look at the number that's next door, which is a 1. Okay. So 1 is less than 5. Okay. And I know that if it's less than 5, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just going to go 30.9. I can change these other ones to zeros if you want. It's the same thing, which we learned that last week with equivalent decimals. All right. Oops, too fast. Okay, so here are some decimals here, and what this activity is going to show us is we need to quickly be able to decide if it's closer to 8.7 or if we're going to round to 8.8. So we're looking here at like this one right here, 8.760. I'm going to look at this 7, and I'm going to go next door. Okay, so I'm going to look at the 7 and go next door. So on 8.76, okay, looking next door, that is above, it's 5 or above, so I'm going to add 1, so it'll be 8.8. Okay. All right, 8.788. We're going to take a look at these till they disappear. 8.788. I'm going to go next door to the 8. It is higher than 5, so I'm going to add a 1 to my 7, so it's 8.8. Okay. All right, 8.726. Go next door. The 2 is less than 5, so I'm not going to do anything with that 7. So it'll be 8.7. 8.744. I'm going to look at the 4. 4 is less than 5, so I'm going to leave that 7 alone. So it'll be 8.7. Okay. 8.77. I'm going to look next door. The 7 is higher than a 5, so I'm going to add a 1 to the 7 in the 10th place. So that's going to give me 8.8. 8.755. I'm going to look next door. I remember if it's 5, I've got to add 1. Okay, so it'll be 8.8. Okay, 8.734. 3 is less than 5, so I'm not going to do anything to that 7, so it's going to stay 8.7. Sorry. All right, 8.749. I'm going to look next door to the 4. 4 is less than 5, and so that's going to stay the same at 8.7. All right, take a look at these. 8.762. I'm going to look next door to the 6. I know 6 is higher than 5, so I'm going to change that to an 8, so it'll be 8.8. 8.768. Again, I'm going to look next door to the 6. 6 is higher than 5, so I'm going to add a 1 to that 7. 8.713. I'm going to look next door to the 1. 1 is less than 5, so I'm going to leave that 7 all alone by itself. Okay, 8.724. I'm going to look next door to the 2. 2 is less than 5, so I won't change the 7 at all. Okay, take a look at these last ones. 8.801. I'm going to look next door to the 0. 0 is obviously less than 5, so I'm not going to do anything to that 8. It'll be 8.8. And 8.706. I'm going to look next door to the 0. 0 is less than 5, so I'm going to leave it alone, and it'll be 8.7. Okay, let's take a look at our practice book page. All right, so we're going to round each number to the nearest 10th. Okay, so remember, 10th is here in this first room of the house. Okay, and each money amount to the nearest dollar. Okay, where is a dollar? If I looked at $3.50, where is my dollar? Here. Okay, so if we're remembering our houses, this would be in my ones house. Okay, so I'll be rounding to this dollar amount. All right, so let's try 43.56, and I'm going to round the decimals to the nearest 10th. So I'm going to start with my 5. I'm going to look next door to my 6. 6 is higher than 5, so I'm going to add 1 to my 5, so that'll leave me with 43.6. Okay, now the dollar ones. Let's take a look at this one. 22.51. I'm going to round it to my nearest dollar, which is going to be there at my 2. I'm going to go next door to my 5. If it's 5 or above, I need to add 1 to the 2, so that'll leave me with $23. Okay, 255.02 start here at the dollars, which is the 5. I'm going to go next door to the 0, which is less than 5, so I'm going to leave the 5 by it alone. So it'll be $255. Don't forget your money sign, because we're working with money right now. All right, 9 through 16, we're just rounding to the nearest whole number. Again, my whole number is going to be here in my ones place. Sometimes even my tens place, but right now we're just sticking with the ones place. All right, so on number 10, I'm going to underline my whole number, which is my 5. Go next door to my 4. 4 is less than 5, so I'm going to leave that at 5. You can put zeros if you'd like there. Okay. 388.9, underline my 8, go next door. 9 is higher than 5, so I'm going to add 1, so it'll be 389. Okay, get the picture? All right, let's take a look at these word problems. So for 17 and 18, you're going to use the map. Round weight per fleece to the nearest whole number, which states now show equal weight per fleece. So you're going to round these, all of them, to the nearest whole number. Okay, so I'm going to underline the number in the ones digit for the ones place, first room of the house. Okay, and then I'm going to see which states now show equal weight per fleece. Number 18 says order the states shown according to the heaviest weight per fleece to the lightest weight. Okay, so now I'm going to order decimals. Okay, we kind of learned that the last time, so I'm going to take a look at my tens place first. So the first one I could do is Michigan, right? Because that's the smallest whole number, 5.8. So that's going to be my lightest weight. My highest one is 7.1. Okay, so if I'm doing that, it's going to be 7.1, and then numbers all the way down to 5.8. Okay, so really the ones that you have to look at are these sixes. And then you're going to look at the tens place and number them or put them in order by the tens place. So 8, 5, 7, and 9. You guys should be able to do that. Mr. Scott gets 29.57 miles per gallon in his van, which shows the distance rounded to the nearest tenth. Okay, rounded to the nearest tenth. And number 20, Paul is 5.89 feet tall, which shows Paul height to the nearest tenth. Again, you're going to round to the nearest tenth. All right, so for your WSQ, write the steps describing how to round 98.5 and then finish your practice book page. And here is a cool little song I found for you guys.
Round you up, we will